It's the Murder Master Music Show. 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 Hip-hop is dead, but we don't resurrect it. You follow what mainstream says, but here it gets rejected. If you wearing tight jeans, don't expect to get respected. I'm from a time where wearing black was always on your checklist. From a time where faggots get checked if they reckless. From a time where if you got too much shine, we snatch your necklace. This real shit here, Illuminati, fuck the industry. We represent the street and they respect our street ministries. Take no shorts and cut the middleman, literally. This hip-hop savior, our birth scenes like nativity. This a place where no one sells out for reliability, and the masses can get a chance to explore more creativity. You gotta be kidding me. If you call that hip-hop, niggas with high shades and fluorescent flip-flop. We killin' Big Brother, cause we know he watch. You don't like what I'm doing, then you can suck mine. And you don't Murder Master Music Show. It's the 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 Murder Master Music Show.
Episode 298. I'm going to bring on my co-host, Mac J. What's up, Mac J?
What's up with the press?
I'll tell you what, man. It's an honor to do this show. You know what I'm saying? We're honoring the legacy of Eazy-E, but it's also an honor to honor the memory and legacy of Jerry Heller as well. Those of you that know, he passed away a few days ago. Yesterday, they had a beautiful service for him. I saw some clips online. Matter of fact, we got his cousin, Mr. Gary Ballen, on the line. I'm going to bring him on here in a second. He was actually on the show before. But Jerry was a huge part of this show, man. You hear him on the intro. This is Jerry Heller, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that, he enjoyed coming on here. And, he wouldn't do interviews. He would rarely do interviews with anybody. He came on this show 4 times.
Yeah.
1 week
and not
today.
only the 4 times, Fred, so like even through the 4 times, like Jerry was a cool dude as far as I know, because like, he would hit a motherfucker up. He sent inboxes. He comment on shit. When my pops passed, the same way like I told with Reddy Red. A lot of people hit me up and say, "Hey, hang in there, man." You know what I'm saying? Like, I appreciate people that don't know me or have nothing to do with me, but take time out of their day or whatever they got going on in their lives to be like, "Hey, look, everything gonna be good, man. You straight, man. Jay, man, I like what y'all doing." Like when Jerry said that shit, I believed it. Like when he told us, Press, he was like, "Shit, don't worry about what everybody else doing, because what we doing is something that's unique." You know what I'm saying? Jerry, like, we're not tracing trends or whatever.
Jerry's a real dude. The last time he was on the show, next Thursday, a week from today, we're going to celebrate episode 300. The last time Jerry was on the show was to call in and congratulate us on episode 200. He took time out. This was right after an operation. Just a day or two after an operation. He still picked up the phone and called in and congratulated us. Man. Hey, anybody that, that actually had a chance to get to know him or talk to him, even if it was through Facebook or like you said on the phone, it was an honor. I'm going to bring on his cousin, Gary, right now. Gary, we're terribly sorry for your loss that you and your family had to endure. How are you holding up under these circumstances?
I'm holding up very well because we got a lot of love from a lot of people from all over the country that spanned over 5 decades. Jerry started in the music business in the 60s. So there were people at the funeral there and knew him in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010, 2016. So there's not a lot of people that had that span of staying in the game.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. You know, and like you said, they went back to the 60s. And, you know, you guys laid him to rest the day Eazy-E was born. And that's probably right around the time Jerry's career started, I would imagine, or shortly after Eazy-E was born. And the two of them, I mean, their lives were synonymous. You know, they really were like father and son. What was your recollection like as far as the relationship between Jerry and Eazy?
Well, you know, me being Jerry's cousin and in the music business myself, you know, he used to play me the tapes of Straight Outta Compton, Gangsta, Boys in the Hood before they were records. You know, so yeah. I got to hear this stuff. I was in the heavy metal management at the time, and you know, I saw the whole thing develop from the beginning, and he believed in it so much. You know, I thought he was crazy. I said, man, you can't say fuck the police. Yeah. You know, they're not going to play. You're not going to play these records on the radio. You're not going to be able to tour anywhere. And he said, no, man, you got it wrong. He said, this is going to be the biggest music ever. They're the Rolling Stones of rap. And they're going to take over rock and roll.
Too. Yep, he said that.
And well, it's true. And so, you know, so I got to see it all happen. And I was the first production manager on the tour in '89, '90, you know, on their first tour. So I helped Eazy and the guys design their stage, you know, and sound and lights and all that. And I was on the road with them. So, you know, for me it was just, it was mind-blowing because I wasn't into rap at all. I didn't know anything about it. You know, I'm more of a classic rock, Beatles, Eagles kind of guy. But yeah. I loved what was going on, man. I loved the energy. I loved it was cutting edge. It was new. It was fresh. The guys told what was happening in the streets. People didn't believe it, you know. The police were beating up on people until they saw the Rodney King video, you know. Yeah. Now they see it all the time. So these guys were truly amazing, and you know, I was honored to be a part of that whole N.W.A, you know, experience.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And it's I mean, you know, a huge deal that has spanned decades. And just like Jerry's career, it went back, you know, like you said, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Marvin Gaye, Journey. So many, you know, multi-platinum acts and legendary bands. Even before N.W.A, he was affiliated with.
Way before. Yeah, like Pink Floyd. Bringing Pink Floyd to their first U.S. tour. Elton John to his first U.S. tour. You know, the Grassroots, Guess Who, Van Morrison, you know, the Brown Eyed Girl. All this stuff, he was the man. I mean, he was one of the main guys at that time. And it's funny because when I was in high school, back in Ohio, I came out and stayed with him for a couple of weeks in L.A. This was 1969. And, you know, totally blew my mind, changed my life. You know,
I bet you're coming from the Midwest, going out here to California and kicking it with your cousin while he doing his thing. I know they had to blow your mind.
Oh, it was incredible because I was like a football player, musician, you know, Ohio State Buckeye. You know, I mean, I was into sports stuff, but I had no clue about this how intoxicating this music scene was. And he was right in the middle of it. And he took me everywhere with him, and I got to meet like the lead singer of the Animals, Eric Burden, you know. And Marvin Gaye lived in the same complex he lived in, you know. So it was just crazy, you know. And you know, he's always been there for me, and you know, he really changed my life.
Yeah, he changed the lives of many people, and he made it possible for people to do, you know, what they're able to do today. Unfortunately, the media doesn't portray him, but not just the media, people that he actually helped. They don't portray him in the light that he should be portrayed in. And I always felt that Eazy-E, after he passed, no one really mentioned him for years, besides Bone. Why do you think Eazy and Jerry get this this negative stigmata when they did so much for so many people?
Well, I could answer that question, but I'll tell you what's funny. It's like at the memorial, you had Eazy's son just saying how much he loved Jerry. You had Shari Henry, Eazy's assistant, who was with him every day, how much she loved Jerry, and how much Eazy loved Jerry. You had Irving Azoff, one of the most powerful men in the music business, and he just slammed the movie. Everybody slammed the movie at the eulogy. It's kind of funny. And then, like today, and there's a Forbes magazine had an article that said, "Did Jerry Heller really steal from N.W.A.?" So
yeah,
we've seen that. It's really going to start coming out more now that he's passed away, unfortunately. And really, the real true story is going to come out because all the people that were close to him in those days, the director, F. Gary Gray, and the producers, nobody talked to anybody that was there except Ice Cube told the story he wanted to tell. Dre told his story he wanted to tell, and Tamika told her story she wanted to tell. So much false information, but it's all going to come to light now. It's not over. It's just begun.
Right, and nice rendition of Gangsta Gangsta at the memorial too, man. I saw you on social media, man.
Yeah.
that was pretty nice.
I never saw anybody play Boys in the Hood with a guitar and then go into You Are My Sunshine. I mean, just transition into it beautifully, like it would, like the two meshed together. I mean,
yeah, that was perfect.
Well, to be honest, man, I've been doing that for a long time. I'm a performer myself out here in L.A., so I've been doing these songs ever since I worked for N.W.A. So I got this down real well. This mashup with, and Jerry loved it. That's why I did it. Jerry loved You Are My Sunshine, and he loved when I did any N.W.A. or Eazy-E. So, that was a tribute to him, and it worked at the gravesite. People loved it.
Yeah, you know what tripped me out a little bit was and I've seen videos because I got several friends and contacts on social media that was at Jerry's funeral. But something that struck me was I seen Daz Dillinger from the Dog Pound there.
Yeah.
And I remember at one point where it's even a video or a clip on YouTube where Daz and Eazy was going back and forth when Eazy had the Ruthless Radio show or whatever, and I thought that was real noble for a guy, because on the outside looking in, we would think that any of the Death Row guys probably wouldn't have no dealings with Jerry, but to see somebody like Daz at the memorial and everything, man, that had to say something about Jerry. At least to me, it did.
Yeah.
Well, you're right, and there's a lot of people like that were involved, either with Cube or Dre or Death Row or whatever, but they knew the truth. If you know the truth, Jerry was so colorblind. Jerry could care less if you're black or you're white. Jerry fought for Eazy-E. Eazy owned the company. Eazy was the guy. Ice Cube turned on him first. And, give me a couple minutes to talk about Ice Cube because, I was the production manager on the first tour. And, in my eyes, the reason why Ice Cube left the group, it wasn't Jerry that broke up N.W.A., and it wasn't Brian Turner from Priority. Nobody broke up N.W.A. Ice Cube was a disenchanted employee. He was jealous of Eazy. Eazy had all the money, all the women, all the attention. Ice Cube was not hard. Eazy was hard. Ren was hard. Ice Cube, he went to high school at Taft High in the suburbs. He was a great lyricist, a great rapper, and a great actor. Because he acted even then like he was a gangbanger and he was hard and all this, but that wasn't Ice Cube. So after the first tour, his manager at the time, and Brian Turner from Priority, they kind of, he wanted to go out solo, so he blamed it on Jerry the White Devil and all that, but he was going to go anyway, he wanted to go solo, and Brian Turner said, he was the accomplice, look, I'll give you your own label, I'll give you this advance, you be the boss, so, of course he took it, I don't have any, problems with that because that's business,
Right.
But when they started attacking Jerry as the white Jew that broke up the crew and put a bullet in his temple and this kind of stuff, not only was that very anti-Semitic, but it made Jerry look like a thief. Okay, and then when Suge came along, who again I was there for all this. Suge was the DOC's bodyguard, and Suge came into the camp and convinced Dre to leave, and it wasn't about Dre not making enough money or anything. It was about Dre having his own company, being the boss, and all that, So, that's what, and those guys
it was all about everybody wanting to be like Eazy. We want Eazy.
Exactly. If we want Eazy, yeah. Easily I approach the microphone because I ain't no joke.
Exactly.
Tell your mama to get off of my tip. I have no time to give her my dick. That was easy. Everyone wanted to be easy. I wanted to be easy. I mean, he was
amazing. I did too.
And he was the nicest guy. I'm telling you, man, Eazy was the nicest, kindest cat. But I also saw him knock out with one punch some 300-pound dude that was in one of our video shoots. So, Eazy was not one to fuck with.
Yeah. Right. Easier said than done. You know what I'm saying? Eazy does it. Get your motherfucking ass knocked clean the fuck out.
We got the homie Cli-N-Tel on the line as well. How you doing, Cli-N-Tel?
Yo, what's up, man? How's it going,
what's
guys?
What's up, Brother Cli? What's going on, man?
What's up, Jay? What's up, Prez? What's up, Gary? How you doing, man? Good, man. I just wanted to really, I got to go back into this meeting, man, but I just wanted to really, kind of chime in a little bit and just really co-sign a lot of what Gary was saying. Because, for those of us who were around, in the beginning back in the day, who knew, somebody knowing Eazy and knowing Cube and knowing Dre and everybody else and growing up with those guys, I would say that, Dre is an accomplished producer. Ice Cube was a hell of a lyricist and rapper. But, none of us were street cats. I mean, we grew up around a lot of street dudes. We knew a lot of street dudes. But, we wasn't about that life. And I'll be the first one to admit that because, I'm more about, trying to uplift the community and do positive things. And, later on in his life, Eazy was like that, too. And I got to tell you something, man, about Jerry that a lot of people don't know. Jerry was a civil rights person. He like Gary said, he did not see color. I could call Jerry anytime, day or night. He'd pick up the phone. He'd give me business advice. He'd talk to me about anything and everything. And, when a lot of people start saying a lot of stuff about Jerry, he wasn't the kind of person that would back down or shy away when you questioned him about things. And that was a point where I pressed him on some things, that people were saying about him in the media and other folks were saying about him, calling him this and calling him that. And he was honest with me and he was upfront and he said, look, Cli-N-Tel, how could I, it took 2 signatures on those Ruthless Records accounts. How could I rip anybody off when there were 2 signatures required on that stuff, and it wasn't in my nature to even do something like that. Jerry would go to, if you were his friend, he would go to bat for you, he would fight for you, and that's what he was about. He fought for Eazy. He made sure that N.W.A. got into certain doors that they couldn't get into. They were stuck at a certain level, man, before Jerry came into the picture and really started pushing, and getting into those doors that they couldn't normally get into. Jerry, he managed us, the Wrecking Crew, for a while, and he helped us to, break into a lot of areas that we normally couldn't get into, just seeing our faces in there. So, for people to say, well, he was just all about this certain agenda or that certain agenda, is bullshit because they don't really know him. They don't really know the real person, that Jerry was. And I just wanted to really chime in on that, man, and let people really know that, no, Jerry was not a racist. He was not the white Jew devil that a lot of people, and trust me, I'm one of the most conscious third eye type brothers you'd ever meet. And if he was like that, I'd be the first to tell somebody. But I got to be honest, Jerry, as a person, was a cool dude. He was a businessman, and he would tell you straight up, what he felt about business. And that's really what I learned a lot from him. He was a mentor and a friend, and I'll miss him. And I just want to say big ups to him, and best wishes and condolences to the family. And that's really what I wanted to chime in and say to everybody, man. So that's really what time it is.
Right.
Thank you, Cli-N-Tel. Thank you.
Right.
No doubt. Thank you. No doubt.
And let me throw one more thing in. If Jerry would have done anything inappropriate, they would have sued him.
Yeah.
Ice Cube had plenty of money. He could have sued Jerry. Dr.Dre, he was a millionaire. He could have sued Jerry.
Right.
Because that's what
even Cube himself always said that I never signed. They never really took nothing from me because I never signed. I didn't sign with them. I always thought that, like, if you didn't sign with them, I always felt like these dudes just stick to their gun because they don't want to have a pie in their face. You see what I'm saying? Because if we was to go off what we just heard, like me and Prayers from the Midwest, and we younger than them, but we come up under them. So if we was just to go off what we see and what they showed us, or if we pick sides or whatever, like we didn't do research on our own, we would always think that, man, these dudes fucked them over. But then you find out you doing the same business practices that everybody else did. It was just, I think that after he dissed them, he just had to stick with it because some people actors, they got to stick to the script.
It's like this movie now. It's the same thing. It's like the movie. There are so many inaccuracies in that movie. Jerry, Eazy didn't come to Jerry's house and fire him. That never happened. Eazy really never fired him. He got a letter in the mail from who knows who, but he never fired him. Eazy didn't get beat up by Suge and these guys in the studio. Never happened. There's so many things in there that just never happened. But they put it out there, so now they're going to have to, stick by what they said. But there's the lawsuit's going to continue. There's a movie coming that's going to continue about Jerry and Eazy and all that. And Jerry's got so much support now that he didn't have before, unfortunately.
I'm about to say, unfortunately, I hate it's like that because, for real, Jerry, in my eyes, Jerry was cool. I wish I would have had the opportunity to dive into Eazy before he passed, but obviously we were super young when that happened. But it's the same thing. Yeah. Like, the stories is all the same from the people that was really around. Like, you know what you can see when you Google it, but when you talk to people that was really around these guys, it's all the same story. Even I seen a video with Michelle A saying, like, even Michelle A was like, if it wasn't for Jerry, we couldn't have nothing. And she was like, Jerry made sure we got paid. He made sure that we had the money for the house notes. We had this, we had that. You know what I'm saying?
N.W.A, they had nothing but nice things to say about Jerry Heller. So many groups.
Doug Young. Look, if you would have been at the funeral and saw who was around the casket, Doug Young, African American, our promotion guy, Mustafa Khan, a Muslim who was Jerry's security guy like 10, 20 years ago before N.W.A. Kenny Copeland from Rolls Royce, car wash, Irving Azoff. So,
Adrian Gregory. Yeah.
Adrian Gregory, man, of course, our road manager, man, who we all loved. And, these are people that were all there and knew it. It's just Ice Cube and Dre had the money, had the power, and they could get the story out easier. And Jerry really didn't have, the means to fight. He could talk in interviews and stuff, but, these guys really made him look terrible.
Yeah, and the movie pointed that out. We talked to Jerry, before the movie. We always asked him, do you think it's going to be accurate? Are they getting your input? And he always says, well, they're not getting my input. They're not talking to me at all. When I heard that, I automatically knew, okay, this is going to be a Cube and Dre production. And that's what it was. You know, and I think it's wrong to only get the views of just a handful of people and not the majority of the people. You didn't hear nothing about BG Knockout, Dresta, you didn't hear Above the Law.
Dresta was at the funeral.
Yeah, I mean,
they didn't even have JJ Fad in the movie.
Funeral.
You know what I'm saying?
They didn't have any of those guys. You know, Rhythm D was at the funeral. You know,
shouts out to
Big Animal Security. And I'll tell you one other thing, man. This stuff about Tamika and, you know, looking at his finances and seeing that Jerry was stealing from him and he was broke. That is so insane. I mean, Eazy still had the N.W.A. catalog. He had Bone Thugs and Harmony. You know, he still had Ruthless Records. You know, he owned 3 houses. He always had $2,000 or $3,000 in his sock. I mean, and you know, so, you know, for Tamika to portray herself, you know, as the savior, he would have never married her in a million years.
Oh.
But
yeah, I remember last time on the show you were talking about how he was actually you were his to-go guy when one of his side chicks would hit him up.
Yeah.
You would have to help him out. You would have to help him out with that. Yeah.
With the phone card, exactly. You know, phone card. You know, towards the end, right before he got sick, he did a project with Troutman. You know, from the Zap Band.
Yeah.
And before I picked him up at the airport, he had me pick up this beautiful woman. You know, I mean, you know, Eric would have never married Tamika. He had so many other women other than her at that time. But, I mean, he respected her because she was intelligent. She worked for Clarence Avon. She was good looking. But by far, she married him.
Eazy was fucking Mickey Howard and all kinds of motherfuckers back then.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know.
Like, damn.
Yeah, he had all shapes, all colors, all sizes. Eazy was a monster. But I wanted to say one more thing. Yeah, I mean, she married him on his deathbed, you know, and he never signed the marriage certificate. I got a copy of it. So, you know, it was all janky back in those days.
Hey guys, I gotta get back into this meeting, but man, I just wanted to, you know, say, man, keep up the good work. And Gary, I'm gonna holler at you, man. I'm gonna give you a call real soon because I got some things that I want to talk to you about.
Right, all right.
So you guys take care
yourself,
and yeah, just keep it up, man. All right.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Peace, bro. Yeah, shout out to Cli-N-Tel. Always good to have him on the line on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many inaccuracies. A couple days ago, Jerry's attorney said that he believes Straight Outta Compton, the movie, actually caused his death, caused him to get sick. Did you notice after, I mean, because you being probably one of the closest to him, if not the closest to him, did you notice a decline in his health after the movie came out?
Definitely. I mean, you know, it was like a slow grind for him, you know, from the breakup of the band, and then knowing that the movie was going to come out, and then when the movie came out, and then, you know, knowing how many people saw the movie and how bad he looked in the movie, you know, I mean, the stress level on it was incredible. So, I mean, I'm not saying that the movie killed him like the lawyer is, but it sure did. It sure did affect him in a real bad way for a long time.
Right. It affected his way of life for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before I saw the film, I inboxed Jerry because I knew he had went and saw the film, and I asked him. I said, "Did they do you any justice, Jerry?" And he says, "Not a chance, man." And then a few days later, I saw the film, and I knew exactly what the hell he was talking about. It's like, wow, you know. And I respect Paul Giamatti because I always liked him as an actor. He was great in Cinderella Man. But when you hire an actor, usually, especially when the person is living at the time, usually you want to go talk to him, kind of like how Johnny Depp did with Boston George when he did that movie Blow. You know, you want to go talk to the guy and get his mannerisms down and get inside his head. None of that happened.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was
they
told to
didn't
stay away from Jerry.
Oh, of course, because they didn't want Paul Giamatti to know the real story, the real Jerry Heller. They told him how to act. You know, I mean, the guy's like a foot shorter than Jerry. You know, and he always plays scumbags. You know,
yeah, he played freaking
or
Benjamin
he always
Franklin
a heel
or something, or John Adams.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's real short. You know, Jerry is a big, tall fella, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of inaccuracies in the movie, but I hope that there definitely is some type of justice for Jerry's legacy, because his legacy is, as a manager in the music business, is untouchable. People don't even realize what the man has done. I mean, I get in these arguments with people on the YouTube page all the time, you know, that make some wisecrack comments, and I'll come in there and be like, point blank, no Jerry Heller, no Eazy-E, there's no successful N.W.A, no Dre, no 50 Cent, no Eminem, no Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, none of that.
It's a whole bunch of motherfuckers that couldn't have ate.
I'm not
if
saying
Jerry
those guys
feeding.
wouldn't have gotten fame or success, you know what I'm saying, on their own at some point in their lives, because, you know, anything's possible, but it wouldn't have happened the way it did, and these guys wouldn't be multi-millionaires and some of them even billionaires if it wasn't for those two men. And that's real shit.
Yeah, that's true. And I'll tell you what, the accurate part of the movie, there was a lot of accurate parts of the movie too. Jerry always fought for those guys. Jerry couldn't get a record deal on any major label. Everyone passed on him, you know, so he had to go to the California Raisins, you know, Brian Turner Priority, who had no real music acts at all, you know, so he kind of went out through the side door because they had distribution, you know. So, you know, and only Jerry could have done that, and then turned it into what he did, and then to find the promoters to do the tours, and to you know, and to get the promotion and all that stuff. You know, between him and Eazy, you know, we had so many great years and made so much money. No Ice Cube thing, you know, it was a blip on the screen because it didn't stop us. You know, we kept rolling. You know,
yeah, for Life was the first #1 gangster rap album. So it would be better than Straight Outta Compton.
And even when Dre left, and Death Row was there, if Eazy would have stayed well, it would have kept rolling. I mean, Bone was rolling.
Oh yeah.
And, you know,
and I think Bone could have got bigger with Eazy. I think they would have been like Bone was big anyway after Eazy, but I be thinking that if Eazy was still around, Bone could have. Ain't no telling what Bone arguably is the best rap group since N.W.A.
Yeah, and Flesh, who I managed for 12 years, he was at the funeral too.
Because they changed
the
game.
Shout out to Flesh.
Yeah.
You managed Flesh, huh?
I managed Flesh. Yeah, after he was in prison about 8 of the 12 years. I managed him though, but I really liked Stanley. Yeah, I mean it was crazy. You know, those days were so crazy. But we had a deal at Def Jam. His first album was on Def Jam.
Yep. And Dog Let Loose. I remember all that shit.
Yeah, I remember Run DMC in that. Yeah.
Run DMC, right? I was in that video. You know.
Oh, you were in that video, Gary?
I was in that video.
I gotta go back and check that.
Yeah, me too.
Oh wow. You were the fireman in that video. Oh man.
Yeah.
See, you learned something.
I'll tell you one more thing. Yeah, let me tell you one more thing. We had Will.I.Am. You know, we had the Act Band play. So we had Black Eyed Peas before they were the Black Eyed Peas. So, you know, signed to us. You know, and that was through Terry Heller. That was through Jerry's nephew, Terry.
Right.
You know?
I talked to Terry last night a little bit. Hopefully he call in. He might call in.
Yeah, Terry's great, man. You know, Terry grew up in the hip-hop, you know, and so... And he was with Jerry all the time as a little kid. So he knows so much about it, and he produced and directed so many of our videos, you know, Bone Thugs and Harmony and various things. And then he turned into a very successful video director, then a very successful real estate guy, and now he owns 4 restaurants, you know, Plan Check, that he's got all over L.A., and Terry's kicking ass.
Yeah. Yeah, that's you know, our thoughts are definitely with Terry as well. You know, it's a shame because no one expected this. And what was it like at the hospital? Was there a lot of people there? I mean,
no, it was only. I was with my girlfriend Mary Lou driving from Oxnard, where I lived, to L.A. Halfway there, Terry Heller calls me about 1 o'clock. Says, "Hey man, Jerry had a heart attack. He's in Los Robles Hospital in Thousand Oaks." His brother Kenny was there and his wife, and me and Mary Lou went, and Terry was there. So that's kind of, and a couple of Terry's kids came a little later. But that's all that was at the hospital. And, I'm a performer, so I had to sing that night. So he never regained consciousness. They had him on life support. His heart stopped a couple times. He probably lost, oxygen to the brain. And I had to leave about 6 o'clock, and I'm going to come back at about midnight. But Terry, he texted me at about 11 and said, "Man, he's gone."
Damn.
That was it. Yeah, it was so sad.
Yeah. Everybody's shocked. And again, our thoughts go out to you and the family, and also,
2016 been a wild ass year for that shit, man. Wow.
Yeah, it is.
Like I said, when my dad passed in February, man, a lot of people contacted me, hit me up, but like to get inboxes from like Reddy Red from the Ghetto Boys and Jerry Heller to say, "Hey man, life is life, you know what I'm saying, cherish the memories," and so I'm gonna do the same thing with Jerry, you know what I'm saying? Like that's noble shit to me, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he really liked you guys. He's, when you guys first, I don't listen to much hip hop radio or any of it really. It's really not my life. But when you guys first contacted me, I asked him about you, and he really liked you guys. So, you guys are like family to him. Is how he, how he told me. So, if you're family to him, you're family to me.
Real talk.
Oh yeah.
Real talk, man. Yep. Definitely. Jerry was real humble individual, and he'd be missed by many, many people. And our thoughts also go out to Eazy-E and his family, Eazy-E's family. I mean, because it's 21 years since they lost their father, and
right.
They got to go through life without him. You know what I'm saying? And Jerry was one of those connections to their father. So I imagine they're really hurting right now too.
Yeah.
Because and that's another thing that's another argument I always bring up when people talk shit or whatnot. I always say, Eazy's kids loved them.
Right.
That should be all the justification you need. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I mean, I'm seeing articles where they're getting comments from O.J. Jackson Jr. And a little arrogant. He's being a little, it's like, who the hell are you though? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
All you know is what your father told you. So
yeah. He grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth.
And doing that,
they
really
grew up privileged.
He grew up privileged, exactly.
And but you said Jerry's story is going to be told. Is there a movie in the works or anything that's going on that we can look forward to?
Here what's going on. There's two things going on. Today I talked to a producer that Jerry already had in place and ready to sign a movie deal about the book Ruthless, which was a book of his life. From being a baby till he died. I mean, not till he died, but now till he died. But the whole Ruthless thing, they already had a very famous director. They already had some A-list actors picked out. They already had the money behind it. They already had the screenwriter, and Jerry was ready to sign and get a big advance to start working on that movie. Now, that's one thing. The other thing is a documentary on just the N.W.A. Eazy-E story. there were so many people. We had 4 cameras at the funeral, and they took interviews of everybody. You know, from the 80-year-old guys, you know, to the teenagers, and
right.
So many of the real stories are going to start coming out now about, you know, what really happened, about the people that were there. So, you know, there's a couple projects that I think Terry is going to continue, you know, to pursue as, you know, being the estate of Jerry. And, you know, it's up to us to keep the name alive, to clear his name from the bullshit that was, you know, perpetrated on him from the movie and Ice Cube and, you know, Dre. So you know, it's like I said, this is only the beginning. This is like chapter 2.
Yeah. It's good to hear that. It's good to see that.
And the lawsuit. And the lawsuit. The lawsuit is not going away because he's dead. You know, the lawsuit is going to continue on. And I know that Ice Cube and Dr. Dre are not going to want to do depositions about that, about what really happened.
Yeah, because they could be getting in a whole shitload of trouble if they're not telling the truth. Which, you know, we pretty much have the. I mean, I can't say. I know Jerry from you know, doing the show and whatnot and talking to him, you know. But I can't just deem them guilty right off the bat. You know what I'm saying? I gotta be careful so I don't get sued. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not saying from all the evidence that I've heard from everybody, from like yourself, all the people we interviewed, all the guests, everyone said Jerry did everybody right. I mean,
he did.
I'm going by what I hear.
Yeah.
You know.
You can't believe what Ice Cube did. Everything Ice Cube did and said was for his own, you know, further his career. Just like same thing with Dre. And you know, look what happened to Dre. I mean, again, to me, Dre's the greatest, you know, hip hop producer ever. But look what Suge did to him. You know, look what Suge did to all those guys. You know, so.
Yeah, I mean,
Dre
exactly. That's never brought up to that level. You know, Dre. You know, I don't know what his deal is. You know what I'm saying? You see N.W.A. As far as Ren and Yella, and now Cube, they're doing shows together. But why not bring a little Eazy on there, or E3? You know what I mean? Why not tour? You know, like the Beatles, they toured with what was it, Julian Lennon, I believe. Why not do that with Eazy's kids? I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. And Dre, obviously, he doesn't even have no part in no tour. You don't see him doing nothing with it.
Dre doesn't need to do anything, you know. Dre likes to be in the studio. He likes to be on the yachts, the boats, and going, you know, traveling the world. I mean, he's a billionaire now, so you know, he's in the rarefied air that none of us can really relate to, you know.
No, he's in the 1% now. He's in a whole different bracket. You know.
Yeah.
But
and I'll tell you, man, I tell you though, at the beginning, man, I loved those guys. I loved working with them. You know, they, especially Dre, Eazy, Jerry, they always had houses close to each other. They'd always buy cars together. You know, I mean, when they were coming up, you know, it was a lot of fun and we had a great time. And you know, it's just a shame that that didn't last forever. But you know, nothing lasts forever.
No. But what Jerry did is set in stone. His legacy is there. Eazy-E's legacy is there. And what they did for all those other guys is there as well. Because, like we said earlier in the show, if it wasn't for those two guys, there wouldn't be none of the others. And it's real talk. And people recognize that. People recognize it. It's just a matter of, you know, most of the people that saw Straight Outta Compton weren't even born when the album Straight Outta Compton came out, you know.
Right.
So they're naturally going to believe that, and that, you know, it's an unfortunate thing, but I'm glad they're going to be able to tell Jerry's story. And going back to, you know, the youth. I mean, that's going to be amazing in itself to show how he came up in the game, how he got his connections, made the moves that he made. That should be very interesting. And this documentary you're talking about now, is that on Jerry's life as well, or is it Eazy and Jerry, or?
Well, again, it's nothing set in stone yet, but that we're just talking about things now, and the main thing is to get the truth out about what happened. The truth about that N.W.A. movie, what really happened. Let's look at the things that actually didn't happen in the movie, and let's look and tell what really happened, so at least people can judge and see, what really makes the most sense here. I mean, movies aren't always accurate, of course. You could stretch things out at times, but to say that Jerry would be crying and Eazy come over and him crying, that is so. Jerry was a badass, man. Jerry was one badass motherfucker, just like Eazy-E was.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of, from what I heard over the years from just interviewing people and talking to different folks, there's a lot of stuff that was left out. And just being a fan. I mean, I remember when all the music came out, buying the stuff at the record stores, they left out so many classic albums in that movie. You know what I mean? And the beef tracks, of course, they made sure they had No Vaseline and Dre Day, but you didn't hear It's On or Real Motherfucking G's, none of that stuff.
Right.
So, but I'll tell you what, we're gonna go off of some Eazy tracks. Gary, once again, I'm terribly sorry for your loss, and
thank you.
Man, I wish you the best. And anytime you want to join us on the show, you're more than welcome, man. More than welcome.
Well, next time we got something not exciting to talk about, I'll give you a call and we'll talk about it.
That's what's up, Gary. You take care of yourself, man.
Right on.
And also, let me just shout out to if you want to, learn anything about me, my website, www.garyballen.com. Because I'll tell you what I'm working on right now. I mean, a couple things, but I'm working on a documentary on the Negro baseball leagues that I've been working on for 10 years. And I got Lou Gossett Jr. Yeah, Josh Gibson, Cool Papa Bell.
Even Jackie Robinson before he was in the majors.
Yeah, Jackie Robinson. All that stuff is called The Untold Truth. So that's another website, theuntoldtruth.com. And we got Lou Gossett Jr. Lou Gossett Jr. is a partner and the narrator. We got a contract with the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum in Kansas City. We already shot 25 hours of high def. It's a great project, and Jerry was really behind helping me, with that whole thing too. But it's kind of something.
Yeah, there's some of the best baseball players in history. You're talking about there. Satchel Paige was one of the best pitchers, if not the best ever. So
a guy named Josh Gibson was like the black Babe Ruth. He would hit balls out of Yankee Stadium. I mean, these guys were monsters, and they couldn't play in the major leagues because they were black. But they could go to war, and they could fight for America, and they come back, and they're not allowed to play in the major leagues.
Not allowed to play baseball, not allowed to vote. Not allowed to
there were areas
drink water.
Yeah, and there were areas that they would get lynched. I mean, they played baseball, and if they went in the wrong area, they could end up being lynched. I mean, that's how crazy America was back then. And these are all things that we, are going to be in our documentary. It'll be very, very cool.
And what's the website for that again?
That's called The Untold Truth, www.theuntoldtruth, because there's so many things that the Negro League started that Major League Baseball took credit for. Again, it's the white man, keeping the black man down one more time. They were playing the slaves were playing baseball in the fields way before Abner Doubleday so-called discovered baseball. The batting helmet. Batting helmets started in the Negro. Batting helmets started in the Negro leagues. Night baseball started in the Negro leagues. The fast play, the stealing home, the exciting playing, all that started in the Negro leagues, and that's why we call it the untold truth.
Oh yeah. And like I live in St. Louis, and I'm a Cubs fan, so you get all these Cardinal fans talking about how many championships they won. I always be saying, like, before they integrated the leagues, you can't count none of them championships for real, because it was one side of the fair before it was an even playing field of letting different people. How can you say they're the best baseball players in the world when you got a whole nother league with guys just as good or even better?
Yeah, look how many times Babe Ruth struck out.
Like you got the Latin guys that can play baseball good too, like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was another part of it. And the other cool thing was all the ball players wanted to be jazz musicians. All the jazz musicians wanted to be ball players. They all hung out together, at 12th Street and Vine in Kansas City. So, and all the cities that had Negro Baseball League teams, they had great economy. They had hotels, barbershops, all kind of stuff. Oprah's father was a barber in the Negro Leagues. Jesse Jackson was a bat boy. Tiger Woods' father was the first black college player to play in like the Big 12, with Texas and Arkansas, all these real racist schools. So there's so many stories, with people, from now where their ancestors, were part of the Negro Leagues.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. And that's going to be a hell of a move right there.
Yeah, and the way our documentary is going to be different is it's not going to be like one of those old-fashioned, slow. It's going to be a lot of current music, political actors talking about the Negro Leagues. So you get Snoop Dogg talking about Satchel Paige. You get Kobe Bryant talking about Jackie Robinson, You get Oprah talking about FMA Manley, who was the first black female owner of a team. So,
right.
That's kind of how we're going to do it.
Right.
No.
Yeah,
man.
I'm looking forward to that.
As Steve Lobel says, we working.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. Nobody can sing Boys in the Hood like you with a guitar, I tell you. Keep doing what you're doing, Gary.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
And, we look forward to having you on many times in the future. You take care of yourself, man.
All right, man. We love you guys.
Much respect, man.